Army.mil kind of, oh, it's no big deal. See, you got a secret document? We'll just put it out. No big deal. Like catching your neighbor walking out with your television and they claim they were taking it to have it repaired or something. Oh, it's no big deal, Bob. Or you catch your neighbor in bed with your wife. Oh, I was just, doing a gynecology exam. They released FM 3-39.40. And this document says Social Security numbers, how to round up the American people. We have articles on INFOWARS.com about it where you can see the subsections where more than 20 times it says American citizens, Social Security numbers, how to process, how to get our biometrics, just like we were citizens of Fallujah, Iraq. It goes through all of it. And first they tried to deny it, then they admitted it. We've also seen training in places like Arcadia, Iowa, where they said in the paper they're working with a local gun shop and the citizens do door-to-door gun confiscation drill for training here in America. Once that blew up, they started to back off. We got the governor to respond in Tennessee a few years ago when they had regular Army with National Guard, state police, ATF, the FBI, local police, all putting them under a unified federal FEMA command, running an illegal checkpoint on one of the major highways searching vehicles. So again, this is just changing the culture, bringing all of this in. But I want to play from a promotional video put out by Guardian Centers, some of the video for you right now, and we've been showing some of it as well while I've been talking here, where, again, interspersed with the firefighters and other legitimate things, it shows the military rounding people up, and every one of them is black. Now, that's newsworthy right there. I've been to these drills where they all are farmers wearing John Deere caps and stuff saying, you can't take my land, you can't take my guns. Very scary stuff. But it was a black farmer, white farmer, Hispanic farmer. Little extra black folks. I mean, obviously saying, oh, it's for Al-Qaeda, that's a bad group, but it's really for all Americans. Oh, well, blacks, they're kind of looked down on quietly by some people. Oh, look, it's for blacks, so it's okay. And it's military and white guys, white civilians looking on as groups of blacks tump over cars and, get rounded up and thrown behind barbed wire. I mean, this is pretty outrageous. But don't expect Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton, the race baiters, to say anything. They're just there to create more racial division in this country, not actually point out that there's preparation to target black communities, which are under gun control like Chicago and has the highest crime rate in the world, which are under the fake drug war that's bringing down Chicago, just like Mexico's collapsing. It's the policies that are causing this cultural collapse. But here's some of the promotional video hiding in plain view. Let me show you just a few more articles that will give you a larger picture as we connect the dots here. And then we're going to go to Staff Sergeant retired Joe Biggs to specifically analyze some of this video that shows regular Army engaging in civilian suppression, basically. No other way to describe it. Look at this headline from today that was picked up by DrudgeReport.com. We're going to show a short clip from the larger newscast here in just a moment. Armed Homeland Security agents in community outreach to let people know they're in the area and to remind them about the snitch program. And we'll go ahead and play a clip of that now.
Homeland Security officers tell 90 Your Side they were there as part of their community outreach to let people know that they are in the area. They also were there to remind people that if they see something, say something, especially when they see anything suspicious happening outside of a federal building.
Again, it is essential to understand we are seeing an explosion of paramilitary preparation for gun confiscation, martial law, roundup, civil unrest, you name it. Is it the border being collapsed by design? Is that part of it? Clearly. Is it the dollar being deserted worldwide by design? Clearly. Is it war in Ukraine and possible war with Russia? Clearly. The issue is it's George Soros and the globalists on record bragging they're behind the open borders and the open border society, that they're behind the Ukraine takeover, that they're behind ISIS and the Arab Spring. I mean, they are starting what appears to be the beginning of World War III right now. That's where all this leads, and the government is on full drill to lock everything down and come after the American people. So this is really an emergency alert here. And again, a few years ago, we saw these weird internal Homeland Security training videos, and then public ones about see something, say something, where every terrorist was a white business executive. And I said they're rebranding to the Tea Party. Watch. And they've done that now. I mean, you can see it. First internal, saying our new enemy is the Tea Party, white people. Then it goes public. Then it becomes policy. People said, oh, you're just being racist, worried about white people. No. If there's videos where all the terrorists are white people, and then internally they say the enemy's the Tea Party and gun owners, you know what's next. And we were proven right. Well, when it's showing nothing but black people, I've got a big concern as well. I've got a concern if it was showing black, white, Hispanic, Asian. But they're doing it to kind of sell the idea of, well, this is a troublemaking group. The Army's only for them. So the general public will accept it. So they're showing minority communities that we're going to take the rights of whitey. And they're showing, the law enforcement, community that's in some areas, I guess, well, white bastion or whatever. Oh, it's for the blacks. No, folks, it's for everybody. Who was the German preacher that said first they came for the communists and I wasn't a communist, said nothing, and then they came for the labor unions, I wasn't a labor union. Then they came for me, and there was no one else to stand up. This is for everybody. This is about taking your pension funds. It's about taking over. Now, you can look up, again, the Army Times, you name it, admitting that they want to set up Brigade Homeland. That was 6 years ago. They've now done it. They're rolling it out. I mentioned this article, guardsmen to conduct urban training at Arcadia in April. They admitted gun confiscation drill in here, and they got all upset when we said that and reported on it and said that they hadn't said that. We had the colonel on. We've also got FEMA camp prisoners. Again, we mentioned that, using the illegals to prime that pump. We have the governor responding and saying the feds can't do that anymore after Tennessee. So that's the good news, is that you can say no to all this. But for those that are in denial about posse comitatus and what the NDAA has changed in the last few years incrementally to where there's nothing left, I wanted to go to, again, Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, retired, to give us his breakdown, because he served in Iraq and Afghanistan with a lot of the groups that are now coming home to literally go after the American people. As veterans can't get health care and are getting the word they can't buy guns anymore with no evidence or no reason at all. This is now pointed at us, and the military appreciates these transmissions, because on average, I can't imagine a group more informed than Army and Marines, Air Force, you name it, because again, they're decompartmentalized. They're in the middle of this. They see what's happening. Joe, before you analyze these patches for folks, I want to get your take overall. You've been sitting here tonight while we're breaking down this investigative report here and analysis for viewers the last 15 minutes. Any thoughts just overall as a citizen and as a veteran, a combat veteran, seeing all this?
Well, one of the things I like that you said is that the veterans overseas are getting ready to come home to this. And it reminded me of the past few days. I have a buddy who's stationed in Japan. I've got another that's in Afghanistan. They can't see a lot of these websites. And they're coming to me and saying, hey, Joe, what's really happening in America right now? What's going on at the border? Why is our police being militarized so much? And I have to tell them, and it breaks their heart every single time. They're like, why is this happening right now? Am I really going to come home to this right now? And they're scared of what's happening to America right now. And I don't blame them.
Because they're not traitors.
Yeah, they're not. They don't want anything to do with this. Most of them go over there, like I said, for a good purpose. A lot of them want the college, the benefits, something like that. None of them want to go and come back and be trained to take over cities here in America. No one has that. No one wants to do that.
Well, and a lot of them do it because of family, like your dad.
Yeah, my father. I mean, it was in my blood to join the military. My father did it, my great-grandfather. And it's just something that we did in our family. If you were a male, you joined the military. There's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of these guys are seeing what's happening back here, and it's literally breaking their heart every day to know that our country is slipping away while they're over there fighting for their country.
Well, I want, Joe, the people that are running this, to know that they're not doing this in the dark. The military is over 85% awake. That's what I found, even officers on the street.
I agree completely. Everybody I talk to is 100% with the information we're putting out. They're saying that's spot on.
What do you think the establishment's thinking? I mean, they're not going to get away with this.
I just don't understand. I mean, this video we're about to show, it's not National Guard. That's their job, to take care of stuff here back in the homeland. This is big Army, regular Army, 3rd Infantry, 3rd Infantry Division, 1st Cavalry, 1st Armored Division. So
this is the tip of the spear.
Yes.
Explain to folks what that means. I mean, this is not just regular Army. This is the absolute shock forces.
Yes. 3rd ID is one of the biggest infantry units. They're some of the first ones to go in. 1st Armored Division is one of the biggest armored, your tanks, your paladins, things like that. And 1st Cavalry is one of the biggest cavalry divisions there is. So they've got the 3 biggest guys in there right now training at this place for an apparent martial law takeover. It's unbelievable.
Truth is stranger than fiction. It's really happening. We've seen the signs for a long time, but it was over the horizon. Now it's in our face. And before we get to these patches, a little bit of gallows humor here, some comic relief, but it's also a good analogy. If you think about the first Ghostbusters movie, I think it's a great comedy. They're talking about normal paranormal activity being the size of a Twinkie. And now the paranormal activity is the size of a giant, 20, 40-foot long Twinkie.
Well, let's say this Twinkie represents the normal amount of psychokinetic energy in the New York area. According to this morning's sample, it would be a Twinkie 35 feet long, weighing approximately 600 pounds.
That's a big Twinkie.
Normal paramilitary activity in a free society doesn't exist. I mean, it isn't going on. Now it's just off the charts giant is the point. And it's accelerating, it's building. You can see it. It's like an enemy army lining up against your border for war, but it's not even a foreign country. It's our own military. That's why they're freaking out. Do you think that's a good analogy, Joe?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just imagine opening up and you're sitting in your house and you hear explosions, you hear helicopters flying overhead, and you peek through your blind real quick and you look outside and it's U.S. military, it's Army with American flags on their shoulders, and you're sitting there like, why are you on our streets? What are you doing here?
And they admit that's to acclimate everyone. Look at the Boston bombing.
Yeah, you ease it in. You ease it in.
Look at the Boston bombing, going to everybody's houses and, oh, you're a black lady, you're a blonde-haired lady, you look nothing like the guy we're looking for. We're going to drag you out with a gun to your head. We're going to drive around pointing guns at you. It's all a power grab.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. Every day, every day that something passes like this, I just don't understand how we're getting to this.
What does your gut tell you? Is it all of the collapsing border, the dollar, the stage takeover, or is it one of those things, the collapsing border, war with Russia? Why do you think they've got this in such high gear?
Well, the thing with the border, I'm thinking they want to import this poverty. They want to, essentially, we're pulling the Border Patrol agents away from the border, and then they're talking about bringing in National Guard. So what does that do? That starts scaring people. You start seeing National Guard up and down the streets, you're thinking martial law.
It's the cover.
Yes.
It's the cover for the first phase. Yes. I agree. Mm-hmm.
Completely. Once that happens on the border and it becomes everyday norm that you're seeing the tanks rolling up and down the streets, the Humvees, the MRAPs, the soldiers with the M4s strapped to their chests, next thing you have these guys, the big Army coming in, the 1st Armored Division, the 1st Cav, 3rd Infantry Division. These guys will be on the streets in the MRAPs, along with the militarized police as well.
God almighty. And the public will think they're here to help with the collapse.
Protect and serve. It's protect and serve.
And then it will set the precedent that we're permanently under martial law.
Yeah, completely. It's exactly what they're going for.
But they're going to call it civil emergency.
Once it happens, most of these people that are asleep and sheeple, they won't even care, because it's gradually happened. The people who are awake right now, we're the ones that are pulling our hair out every day, just stressed out. We see the tyranny. We see what's happening. These guys aren't even paying attention. When it happens, they won't even care.
They're bringing us into a permanent emergency, and the groups that are waking up are political people that are savvy patriots, because we're the targets of the next phase, and the police and military, because they know this was not legal just a few years ago. They had to change laws to do this.
Well, one of the things they're doing, though, too, is the failed VA. What happens when you can't get your veterans the health care they need? They don't get better. They can't fight back.
You just make them the enemy.
Back. They can't fight back. You're taking enemy away. That's what they're doing. They're planning. They're saying, hey, these guys are trained. They have the information, the knowledge to defeat us. We're going to deny them the health care they need so they can't fight back. When we roll in this martial law, these guys will be dead in the street, basically, laying there, internal bleeding, whatever's going on, unable to fight back after so long.
You're talking about yourself. What do you think of the illegals in South Texas to get this $60 million facility where they have $1,000 rooms and with spas, hot tubs, tennis courts, down there at a luxury facility that the government's about to buy for them.
We're opening up all these centers for these illegal aliens, but we're not doing anything for homeless veterans. We're not doing anything.